dun. Uh-oh, what just happened? Uh-oh. There we go. Things are working. Okay, hey, this is Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions, and this is the San Carlos Computer Club. It's Bill, Cheryl, TJ, and myself this morning. I saw Chester checking out our document a little earlier, so I suspect he'll probably be joining us. And since I am on my travel computer, my performance is really bad. So I'm going to try and follow online uh, the things we talk about with Google searches and links, but you might see me freeze any moment. And I was just filling dead air with my problems making a decision about what computers I should be buying in the future. Hey, Chester, welcome. We're just getting
Good
started.
morning.
And I just wanted to finish off what I was saying about the computers that I've been looking at. The Framework computer is one that I keep looking at. And if you're not aware of Framework, this is the one that's been built so that it can be updated. And you can pull out the motherboard and have it in your hands in just a couple of minutes. It's been built so that the motherboard can be replaced with an upgrade, and all the ports on the framework have are USB-C modules, so you can just mix and match the ports by buying these little 2-inch, they might even be smaller than that, modules that you pop in to the sides of the laptop. So if you needed 3 HDMI ports, you can have them. Or if you needed three, what is it? If you needed three USB-C ports, you would have them. So I find that computer very intriguing. It's slightly expensive, still doesn't have a touch screen. Uh, I guess what I should be thinking though is that the touch screen could come later. The way the thing is built, uh, it's not inconceivable to think that they could have a touch screen upgrade later for that laptop. Somehow I've gotten TJ on the main screen. There we go. So now there's the 5 of us. So I think the Framework PC is worth checking out. One of the things that they've also done that's really interesting is if you buy a motherboard upgrade for your computer, you could also consider buying a motherboard enclosure so that your previous motherboard could have an extended life as a secondary computer. You could set it up to be a desktop computer. So they do some really interesting, it's some interesting reuse ideas, recycle, reuse. Well,
Okay, so what does that all translate to a neophyte?
it means if the computer you're using right now is working for you, this is the wrong time to be buying a new computer.
Okay.
That's what it means. Even the computer I've got in front of me isn't doing every job I want it to do, but I'm going to stick with it because I'm not ready to shell out $2,000 for the computer that's not quite the one I'm waiting for.
Sure. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so there's some really innovative stuff that's going on right now, but it feels like we're waiting for the dust to settle. In fact, one of the articles I brought with me today talks about Intel and AMD coming together for the first time to create a consortium of x86 partners to set that standard, something they've never done before. As far as computer innovation is going on right this moment, there's just a lot of stuff in flux and nothing that's really been settled. The irony is that the Macintosh is probably the most settled platform. And that platform just went through a big change. Hey, Judy. I was just starting out our meeting talking about my woes trying to decide what computer to buy, and TJ asked me what would a common person do right now, and common person would wait because there's so many different things happening right now in the market. If you've got a computer that's doing it for you, I say wait. How are you doing this morning?
Fine, thank you.
Well, I'm glad you were able to join us. Did you get a copy of the document I sent out this morning? Have you had a chance to look at it?
Yes, there was not much, there wasn't anything in it that I saw except for being able to tell from a vision scan your illnesses.
Yeah, which seems pretty cool.
Was there something else?
I did add a couple
It
other things
does.
that I found this morning. In terms of that, and before we jump down any topics that I've brought up, please, folks, give me your topics. Is there anything new going on out there that you want to share or have questions about, or some tech problem you're having that maybe us as a group can try and help you sort out? This is the time to shout that stuff out now.
Well, I opened the document that you sent out this morning and there's nothing new on it.
There should be 2 more articles in it.
Let me try again.
Yeah, it's meeting number 2, October 22nd. In fact, I'm going to try and bring it up.
I had that situation where when I opened it, I had to change the view because just looking at the options here.
Oh, it looks like Cheryl's in there now.
I've got it on the second document, got it on the first document you sent out, not on the second.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, you sent out one before the other. That's the one before the other is the first one. The second one is, so one is the San Carlos Computer Club document shared with you, and the other is San Carlos Computer Club virtual meeting number 2. And that's the one that on that document, I don't see anything new, but on the other one, I do.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it should be the same document in each email. The first email, I mean, if you're curious, the first email that goes out, it's typically in the evening. Today it was in the morning because I was behind schedule, is the share of the document. And then the second email comes out the morning of the meeting, and it's a list of links from the website, and I include a link to the document that I had previously sent out. So it should be, unless I linked them wrong, it should be the same document referenced in both emails. But like I started out at the top of the hour, I'm in Phoenix doing work, so that's why this is a virtual meeting. I am planning on being back in San Carlos next week. So any of you folks that are there, I'll meet you for a virtual meeting or for an in-person meeting on the 29th. That's my plan. Still pushing the digital Bill of Rights. I feel like every day I find examples of where it would be helpful. That document is open for comment, so if you are interested in reading and adding your own comments, please feel free to do so. I will continually be rewriting it until I feel like we've got the best version. I'm just going through the document now. So nobody has any of their own topics this morning?
Yeah, I have one.
Please, Chester, share with us.
Well, it's not a technical topic. It's kind of a topic that's of interest to me.
Okay.
Last Wednesday night, my bank account was hit with an $8,000 fraud charge.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, whoa. And the problem I'm having with it is that they're going to refund me and they're going to set up a new account. But in the meantime, they have shut down my debit card. So the things that I normally pay for this time of the month, I'm not able to pay for. That's
So,
the irritating part.
so they took it out of your bank account through the debit card.
No, it didn't go through the debit card. It went through interbank, like it was a check. It was an interbank charge, and it was designated as the Home Depot.
Wow.
So they're telling me that my debit card is going to continue as is without any change. But the problem is I can't yet access the funds that I need to access, but they all some charges. I just thought it would be of interest. It's certainly of interest to me. I'm supposed to get my new account.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, I'm muting Bill. Oh, here comes Dad. So, Chester, how were you informed?
Well, I had set up with my bank account, my bank, that any charge that hit my account over $2,000, they would notify me. And so they notified me that I had an $8,000 charge.
So they weren't notifying you because they thought it was fraudulent. It was just a system you had set up.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
Chester, why do you have such a high limit on your alerts?
Well, I had it at one time at $1,000, but it was driving me.
I have all of mine on it at $1, and that means if anything is charged over $1, I get an alert.
Well, I pay all my bills through that bank account, and God, it would be a nuisance to be notified of every one of them, every charge.
What's the notification? Is it an email or a text message?
Email.
An email notification?
Scott, it's however you have it set up with your bank. It's like mine is set up as email and push because they're no longer supporting text, but they're bank alerts. They're on the bank bill pay, or at least mine is on the bank bill pay system.
Yeah.
Judy, I would have caught it anyway because every day I go online and check my bank account. So I would have caught it that same day, except that I got the notice very first thing in the morning.
So, Judy, you said the bill pay. Now, I think of that as being regular payments that you're paying out.
Well, no, like I can set up different payments to be made to different accounts through bill pay. I also have recurring payments through bill pay. But there's two different kinds of payments, and I have alerts. Well, the alerts are not on my bill pay. The alerts are on my accounts at the bank.
Yeah, okay. I'm not familiar with that kind of setting in my bank. I'll have to explore that.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't have that type of availability. Mine is either check, or it's a monthly draw, or it's a debit card charge.
But
my bank is set. Oh, sorry. My bank is set to send me an email at any transaction over $100.
Exactly.
So I get notices when I've withdrawn any money or any bill has been paid, but I know that it's happening, and so I can keep an eye on it. But I'm like Chester too. I still check it just about daily. And my bank allows me to put the settings in that I want. What do I want to be notified? I put all transactions over $100.
Well, you've given me something to think about. I'm going to explore in my bank and see if I can set up the same kind of thing because I think $100 is the level that I would put. Anything over $100, I don't mind getting an email saying, "Hey, you know, you're taking out over $100."
Exactly. And mine is so low because, a lot of times those fishing ones do $1.23, or you can't do less than $1, but, a lot of those fishing ones that put charges on your account somehow have pretty low amounts that they're trying out first. I
Yeah.
also have those alerts set up on my credit card, on my cards.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say it's credit or debit on mine. So I'll often get 3 emails. One will say this was withdrawn out of your savings account. The other one will say this was deposited into your, So I get a lot of emails, but I delete them, right away, kind of thing. Keep it cleaned up.
Have you guys been good about locking your credit? It's
No,
something.
I have not, but I need to do that. I need to lock my credit on, but the only thing is once a year, the insurance company on auto insurance checks it. But apart from that, I don't need any need for a credit report.
Yeah,
You mean lock your reporting of your credit by a company?
You lock the reporting so that they don't give the information to anyone for any reason.
Yeah, credit reporting is becoming a way of doing identity theft. And so if you're not somebody that's needing credit regularly, and the way I hear it described all the time is if you're under 40 years old, there's a good chance you don't need to be checking out credit all the time. And there are, with the credit reporting agencies, they're supposed to have very easy ways to lock that down now, and you can unlock it when you do need to do something like buy a car, take out a credit card, something of that nature. What you're saying, Chester, is a very interesting dynamic that they check regularly for car insurance. I sure don't. That sure sounds like something they would use it for. So that could be an issue.
The only thing that's the only thing that mine is used for. And I need to lock them just like you say. I just am lazy.
No, I'm unfortunately I'm the same way. I've known for a long time that I should do it, and I always find something else to do than research how to do that. But apparently we've passed some laws recently that the credit report agencies have an obligation to do it and make it easy. And at the same time, I've heard people talk about their experience with talking to these agencies and how you have to insist on locking it. They'll try and sell you on the idea of freezing it, which is short period times where it'll turn back on. And locking it, the language of locking it means that it would not get turned back on unless you came back and it requested that it be turned back on. But I'm like Chester, I keep finding something else to do than dealing with it.
Well, hopefully I'll get my account back today.
Yeah, we'll hope the same thing for you. That's very frustrating not to have access to your account.
Yeah, I'm about to have DirecTV and Netflix turned off.
How will you survive? You'll have to dig out
I wouldn't survive.
a D&D or a DVD collection if you have something to play on.
Yeah, I couldn't survive.
Well, Pop, welcome. Late joining us. Have you brought any topics yourself for today's meeting?
No, I didn't. I just wanted to check in and see how you were doing. I just got back from taking the dog out, and that was quite a winter experience today.
For you both, I bet. What's the temperature like right now?
Well, it's a little warmer now, but what'd you say it was?
36 when you went out.
36 when I went out, I
It's gonna
guess.
be 40 something then.
But it didn't feel all that cold. I was, it just looked cold before we went outside. Once we got out, it wasn't too bad.
Well, it's freezing in
It was
Phoenix.
like
I
a-
woke up to 71 degrees.
Yeah, we're not quite ready for being back in Arizona yet. Your mother wanted me to ask you a question. Hold on. What was it?
I can't find where he sent me message about the
Invitation?
class. Yeah, an invitation.
Oh, she can't find an invitation to the class, Scott.
Well, it should be there in her email.
Okay, he says you should have it.
You should have it. You should have two different emails, I think. One from the document that I shared this morning, and one from our announcement that we're doing the meeting.
Well,
Hello,
I had a bunch
Paul.
of them today.
Hi,
Welcome.
Paul.
Okay, are we able to hear you today? You're muted, but I know in the past it didn't matter.
How's this?
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
We can
Coming,
hear you.
coming through clear. Have you
Good.
brought any topics for us today, Paul?
Change microphones.
Oh,
What?
excellent. I asked, did you bring any topics for us today?
No.
Well, get out of here. You're no help.
I'll chime in.
Hey, Scott, this is TJ. I turned around and I pulled the bullet for paying for ChatGTP 4.0,
Oh,
and well worth the $20 a month, especially if you're in business.
oh, that's an interesting opinion. All right. So you feel like it's really helping you out. Have you?
Yeah, and especially because of the fact that everything is stored in memory now. So my account maintains not only the past conversations, but then also the cumulative effect of my input on my conversations with ChatGPT, besides the collective intelligence.
So are you building your own models then? Like you're continuing. Oh wow, what's going on? Did I just have a network problem? There we go. Everybody still there? I think so.
I
Sure,
can hear
Kenny.
you.
You still with me? I think
I'm here. I'm with you.
I think I just had network problem on my end. I just watched everything freeze up for a moment. So are you building your own models now?
No, my team over in India, my design team in India, they're just building their own models in regards to a variety of projects. But for myself, for personal use, and especially for LinkedIn postings and research that way, I have found that paying the extra 20, because you get a number of conversations and interactions on the 4.0 at no charge on the free version, but then it says, "Oh, sorry, you've got to switch back over to the 3.8." Or the 3.5. So meanwhile, I figured, what the heck? And so I pulled the trigger for 20 a month. And as I said, the beauty of it is that now everything stays in memory, so that ChatGPT can draw on the memory of our conversations, besides the collective intelligence that it has accumulated through its learning method.
Interesting. Hey, can you give an example of how you found it helpful? Is it the LinkedIn?
Well, as you know, yeah, it's in the LinkedIn postings, so that I don't have to constantly reteach it in regards to what we do at Star Behaviors and some of the additional information regarding the trucking industry. So it's able to retain those that previous data or previous information to draw in developing and fine tuning my LinkedIn postings and articles.
Okay, so you're really using it like an editor.
As an editor, as a both as an editor and then also laying out an initial format. So if I need a document or I need something, then I'll say, okay, please provide a basic layout, things that I need to cover, so that it gives me a starting point in reference to working on a document, or if I've already created a document, in reference to fine tuning it. As an example, at LinkedIn, there's always interactive polls. And so I simply asked it, for marketing purposes, where is the, if I have 4 choices, what position is best for marketing purposes for a call to action for a product or service that I'm marketing or selling? And so with that, it came back and, again, through its collective intelligence, came back and said marketing research shows that either position number 1 or position number 4 is the best place if you're asking for a call to action.
Interesting. Well, I would be interested in hearing updates in the future as you continue to use that service. I think maybe from a business perspective, there is a good case for paying for those services and integrating them into your workflows. It's been amazing to watch this development. Again, we're talking about a thing that's less than 2 years old, and it has just changed everything in the. I'm not saying for the good, but just in general, it's like we've had this whole pivot around all these AI models. In my own personal experience doing work for this organization, I'm in the Microsoft 365, what do you want to call it? That suite of software that you buy into. There are domain hosts and accumulating data into Excel spreadsheets and using that for making models. And what's interesting is that they've got ChatGPT all over, or Copilot. It's all branded as Copilot. They've got Copilot all over it. So they've got a thing called Power Apps, or the Power Platform. And it's pretty much being driven now by ChatGPT or Copilot. To give you an example, I'm using this framework called Power Pages, which is one of dozens of different ways that you can make websites in Microsoft. And Power Pages specifically helps you build navigation interfaces, information interfaces, and form interfaces for filling out data, all based on AI prompts. So you really approach building the website in, all right, you're going to make a page. What's this page going to do? And you're telling this chat dialogue what this page is intended to do, and it mocks up the page for you to edit later. And some of this seems very cool. I mean, like getting into it, it's like, oh, that's cool. We've got a starting point. And I guess it would be similar to if I were to sit down with a designer and say, I want it to look kind of like this and this. I want it to do this and this. They pull from the templates that they've built things from in the past, and they present you with something that now from that you can start personalizing it. So I guess you could compare it to that kind of work. I wouldn't say it's extremely impressive. It's what is making AI impressive to me is that the computer's doing it. What it's coming up with isn't necessarily more impressive than a human creator, but it definitely doesn't have specific hours it works. It definitely doesn't have opinions on the things that it does, even though you could probably project some opinions on it, but in reality it's just working from what it's got. But I don't necessarily think that in that aspect, that creative aspect of putting together web pages as I've been using it recently, I don't find it to be any more efficient than if I was just handed a template and started mocking it up myself. And what the end product is, and again, I'm just talking about in reference to like building these web pages, it's nothing more impressive than any human has put together. And in some ways it's inferior because it's put together something that maybe you're not ready to edit or make changes. Maybe it's very difficult to make the kind of change you want to the thing that it's already prefabbed. Anybody else having experiences in AI? Anything that they would share?
I have one.
I hope you're going to tell me about how you're using it with one-armed bandits there in Las Vegas.
No, actually, our daughter has a car that she rents out on Turo, Turo. It's a
Turo, yeah, Turo.
car rental service. Yeah, Turo. So she asked AI to create her description of her vehicle. So it's really quite entertaining. My fellow road trippers and adventure seekers, buckle up, because I've got the inside scoop on the ultimate Turo find, the 2024 Hyundai Santa Cruz. Trust me, this ride is a game changer. It starts there, and then it goes on, and when it comes to storage, the ride is basically a magician. So it has all these words in it, and let me tell you about the owners. These folks are the real deal. Reliable? You bet. Interesting? Absolutely. They're like the cool aunts and uncles you wish you had. Need a lift from the airport? Boom, they've got you covered. Drop off? Same deal. It's like having your own personal concierge service on 4 wheels. So she's used it for her Turo ad, and they're very successfully renting it out whenever they actually want to.
That's great.
That's clever.
What was that?
I just commented that was clever.
That was clever. What I was going to comment on is, if Cheryl hadn't told you that was generated by AI, would you have thought it was generated by AI? Because at this point, I would have. The language that was used in it, I would have read that and said, well, that sounds like it was written by AI.
Well, it definitely didn't sound like it was written by my daughter.
There you go.
Yeah, we got it. She sent me the link to have it checked out. She wanted me to see if it was working properly and all this, because she'd been working on it. So I opened it and I told her, love your description. And one of the things is that the steering wheel is heated and the seats are heated and it feels like your car is hugging you. Anyway, so I said, we have a truck. It's a cross between a car and a truck. So our truck hugs us too. I know, it's hilarious. You can thank ChatGPT for it.
Well, I have found that I've been using not ChatGPT, I've been using Gemini. I guess I have been using ChatGPT because it's Copilot. And I've been using it to do things like summarize. And one of the things that I feel I'm starting to see is what would feel like a watermark of creativity. Whether it's making an image or it's rewriting my text, there's something about it that, for me, I'm starting to really feel like I can identify whether it's AI or not. Because there's something surreal about the results. There's something that's human, but almost more than human, or human augmented about the writing or the image. That I feel like I'm starting to just see it, feel it when I come across that generated stuff. I feel like that description you read to me really sounds to me like something that was AI generated. I mean, and it wouldn't have surprised me to hear something written up like that, or to read something like that written up by a marketing department in a magazine. And that's kind of the touchstone I'm feeling with it, is if you were to pull open a magazine and you were to read that, well, of course it reads like that. A whole marketing department worked on it to address you personally in this half-page ad. But that's kind of what ChatGPT or these AIs come up with. I caught a podcast the other day that I found really interesting. I think we had talked about it before as well. Is that what they were coming honing in on is that I keep saying Chat GPT because we started with it. Let's go back to AI, which is a lousy way to call this stuff, but I'm not going to say generative. The AI is less about creating genuine communication and more about creating bullshit communication. I think we did talk about this in a meeting before. There's a number of social scientists at MIT that have put together a paper about this. And the AI technology, as it interfaces with our reality, comes off more like a bullshitter. Like somebody that's standing there in front of you making up the story on the spot. He's really good bullshitter, right? But isn't necessary. It's using those skills, like the next thing that might be interesting, that itch that comes up when you're trying to make up a story. And it has less. What is the word I'm trying to use? The value proposition, the that you're getting out of the content has less foundation in actual information and more foundation in that trying to come up with the next thing. And I guess
So,
I'm sorry, G, go ahead.
so Scott, in this line of thinking, therefore, in my opinion, anything AI generated should be illegal as far as commercials go, especially right now in our elections.
Yeah. Well, keeping
So
it away.
many of them are AI generative, and I'm just speaking in general. Due to the gullibility of the public, it's, like you say, it's the bullshit thing.
Yeah,
And it is.
it really is. It's using all those skills that, and again, I'm just talking from our front end experience with AIs. I'm not talking about the way it's handled in the background, but just the way that it interacts with you and it comes up with information. It is really much more similar to a bullshit artist than it is someone with genuine information. I mean, a well-informed bullshit artist, but still a bullshit artist.
Well, see, I have to disagree. I think what Cheryl's daughter has come up with is spot on, and here's why. She could have spent how many thousands of dollars to a marketing agency to come up with those same words. It flattened the playing field. It flattened the playing field and creates extreme entrepreneurship.
Or
now, if we all want to, if we
or
go ahead,
TJ,
go ahead, Cheryl.
Or it's made bullshitting available to everybody, whether they have a marketing budget or not.
See but again, that's the difference between folks that are in sales and folks that are not in sales. Folks, and especially tech people, and this isn't attacking, this is, remember, my focus is in regards to behavioral science and behavioral analysis. And that is that, yes, there are really bad salespeople. Absolutely. There are used car salesmen, there are recruiters that don't know what they're doing, and so on and so forth. Okay? But for anyone to lump salespeople, it is a profession that is a very skilled profession. And mainly because it is built on relationship building versus transactional stuff. Anybody can learn how to do transactional stuff in design work. I don't have the wherewithal to be able to do that, simply because my behaviors, my expertise, my qualities and core values are more in relationship building versus transactional. That's why I did not do well in operations when I worked in Iraq. But in reference to sales and leadership, absolutely. So that, like I said, Cheryl's daughter, that was extremely entrepreneurial, and it flattened the playing field against people who could afford to spend several $1,000s for a marketing approach. She was able to create, access the collective intelligence. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, so the difference between a commercial where you are trying to sell a product, rent a vehicle, that kind of thing, it is creative speech. The purpose behind a political ad is way different between a commercial. So, Judy, I would agree with you that AI should not be used in political advertising, in campaigning, in that kind of an area. But I think a commercial, because we're using the word in two different things. We mean the actual short ad that we see on TV or we hear on the radio. Those are commercials. But I see the political advertisements, the political campaigns, speeches in a total different area. You don't hire a marketing executive for your campaign. I see that they're two different things. And I agree with you that AI being used to write slam attacks or anything politically motivated is wrong.
Hey, I gotta just, I have a problem with one thing you said there, Cheryl, and maybe it's because you're Canadian, but you totally hire a marketing executive to do your political ads. Totally.
Exactly.
You get a campaign
Exactly.
manager. You get
It's
a
the same
campaign-
thing.
It's the same thing.
I don't know.
It's-
I think that a campaign manager should be out to get your story out as opposed to convince. I think it's a different tactic. I think that a campaign should be based on these are what I believe, this is what I think, as opposed to.
Hey, are we losing? I'm not
Oh, was
paying
that in
attention.
the notice?
Oh, okay. We've still got 9 minutes. I'm sorry. I saw the clock turn yellow and got freaked out that we were just about to disconnect. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Cheryl. I am going to open up the other
That's
meeting.
okay. I did the same thing. I was flashing across the top. Yeah. Anyways, so I just think that AI can be used to make creative speech in a marketing campaign, but you're right. I don't like it in the political.
Well, in terms
But
of...
I totally agree with Scott that in the US, they are one and the same.
Yeah.
Political and marketing are one and the same.
In fact,
And I don't agree that it should be used anywhere unless it's vetted as true.
how about this? What if we have regulation that just says any of this that's being distributed has to be watermarked or it's illegal? Like you can make whatever AI campaign ad, any ad you want, just over in the corner, there's a little disclaimer logo that lets the viewer know this has all been ginned up with AI.
I think the same thing happened when I saw a video of, it was supposedly video of the Florida big waves and everything. And yes, probably a certain percentage of it was actual footage, and the other portion was so AI invented and created that there's no way that that was actually true. And I believe that that video should have had some kind of a mark on it, some kind of a disclosure saying AI, used or something like that.
We're going into a real
Right.
interesting period in technological times, because Cheryl, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that organizations like Twitter have just taken off all the protections. I think that leaders like Elon Musk are probably going to start arguing for free speech of AIs. Can you imagine? Could you imagine somebody making an argument for the free speech of an AI? And it seems like we as a
Definitely.
community have to set some standards on this stuff. I personally I like the idea of watermarking AI, not because there'll be a bunch of stuff floating around that's not watermarked, just like there's a bunch of hackers that are floating around, just because there's scams floating around. But the beauty of setting a regulation like that is the moment you discover it, the creator was doing it wrong. They were doing it illegal. You can set rules and laws, and you can hold people accountable for their actions. So it becomes in technology, we've always had this expression of tech will do what tech will do. Like you can use tech to solve a problem. You can use tech to track people. You can use tech to stop yourself from being tracked. But unless there's a regulation, it's just an arms race. If we all agree this isn't the correct way to behave, then we can have accountability when we find people behaving that way.
We need a Bill of Rights.
We need a Bill of Digital Rights, absolutely. I am opening up this other meeting because I'm getting gestures from Judy that we're running out of time. It's going to take me a moment, as you can see on your screen. Are we in yet? Come on. Okay, I think we're up. So if you want to move over to the other meeting, I will let you in. Oh, it's all this stuff that makes me need a new computer. We got Bill, Cheryl, Chester, Paul. Mom's coming in now. Judy's coming in now. Sorry guys. This is my fault. It's because I'm on this computer. Did we get everybody? We've still got Dad isn't in here yet. I'm hanging up this meeting. Goodbye, previous meeting. Hello, current meeting.
When I switch meetings, I actually have to first go out of the first meeting and then into the second because it keeps telling me, do you want to exit this meeting? And I say yes, and then it doesn't do anything. Interesting.
Is that on the iPad or your Macintosh?
Yes, it is. No, it's on my iPad.
Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting, these different platform experiences when we're all here together and people are doing it in different ways. They're doing it on Android devices and iPad devices and Macintosh devices and Windows devices. Everybody seems to have a slightly different experience. Well, I think we're all here. I think TJ had taken off earlier. Maybe he had some work-related stuff to go. But I think the way that that TJ was advocating for AI is appropriate. I I I mean, I don't think we were disagreeing. I think you're trying to sell something and you need help writing it up, and you're not going to hire a marketer, and you may not have the skills. So, an AI being able to do that, I think that's great. I think the only comment that I would make, that I feel like I'm starting to just have an ear for AI generated content, and it may just be what's happening as far as what content can be used to train these devices now is becoming fairly a canned idea, and we're all being exposed to this in such abundance that we're all starting to get a feel for what an AI generated whatever happens to be. Oh, what's going on here? TJ's just sent me. All right. Yeah, I guess he had to move on to other things. He just wanted to say, sorry, I had to go. Well, I've got nothing AI related in my topics for today. And we did talk a little bit about a eye scanner that can be used to detect diabetes and heart disease. So you might find that interesting. We talked a little bit about Intel and AMD. This is an interesting change in their world. They've never worked together. The x86 instruction set is what has driven the Intel Windows market. Yeah, Chester, go ahead.
My understanding is the reason why they're getting together is for survival, that they
Yes.
were so far behind the management curve, they just screwed up so badly that they're trying to do this to save each other.
They're a really good example of sitting on their heels and letting this problem creep up around them. And the problem being that the ARM chips have become much more performative than they've ever been before. And Intel knew this was going to happen. I mean, they saw it. They saw it coming in phones. They watched as Apple has been designing their own chips for a long time, until finally they exit using the Intel platform because they can't get the kind of performance they want out of it. And so Intel's been scrambling to try and make their product live into the future. And this is the latest scramble, is, you know what, we're going to get together with our competition and start regulating this as a standard that we're all building towards. And Chester, you're absolutely right. It's about survival. This is about the data center. Because ARM still, at this point, I mean, when I say ARM, I'm talking about a philosophy in chip design that that is the same as if you were saying x86. It is a integrated circuit design principle philosophy that's followed. And ARM has been what has been used for phones and tablets, mobile devices, low power devices, is where they have their roots. And what we've watched most recently is them turn into very powerful low power devices. And though they don't have a data center offering, they definitely will have one very quickly. And the reason I say that is because the Macintosh chips that let me try this again. The chips that were bought by the company that was bought by Qualcomm, this is I've got a bunch of concepts mixed up in my head. But this Qualcomm Snapdragon Pro that was released on the market in the second quarter of this year with these Copilot Plus PCs. These are ARM-based chips that sport things like 18-hour battery life. The chips, and they're very performative. The chips come from a company that was building the chips for data centers based on their experience working on the Macintosh chips, the M chips. It was a number of engineers from Apple that left Apple and went and formed their own company, and the whole idea was to take the ARM designs to the data centers so we could start having lower power, high performance data centers, probably more than likely because of this AI revolution. So this company got sued by Apple to stop their development. While they were in the midst of this, they didn't have the funds to go through the lawsuit. Qualcomm bought them, rebranded their data center chips as PC chips. Quite literally the same chips, but instead of putting them in server racks, they start putting them in laptops. And that's how we got these performative chips. That had to scare the hell out of Intel and AMD because they thought the market was waiting for them to come up with the chip. And that's what this Lunar Lake is. If you've been hearing reviews about, I don't think we've got a Lunar Lake PC you can buy yet. But this is Intel's offering into the ARM section, and it is very performative, great battery life. The irony is Intel's not making it. Intel has outsourced it to TMSC. Did I say that right? TMSC, yeah, I think that's right. Taiwan, TSMC, that's what I'm trying to say. TSCM, Taiwan Silicon Chip Manufacturer. I think that's right. Anyway, they've built mini processors. They are a fab of chips, which means they're a manufacturer of chips. You bring them the chip design, they're the ones that grow the chips for you. Intel, their whole history has been both. They design their chips and they fabricate their chips. And right now, from what I've heard, Intel internally is looking at dividing up the way their operations work into those two different segments so that they'll design their own chips, they'll build their own chips, but they'll also design chips built by other fabs, and they'll have the fabricators there available for others to design with them. And this probably doesn't make a whole bunch of sense in terms of technology because Intel's fabs are really limited by the size that they can produce at. And so why would anybody be using Intel to produce chips? And the answer to that question is because they're a United States company and we have security concerns about chip fabrication. There is a realistic concern of getting chips from abroad, specifically with security concerned countries such as China, because we've gotten things down to such a nano scale that having devices hidden in a chip is a realistic scenario to be concerned about. You could quite literally be buying chips for PCs, so you think you're getting that PC chip, that adjacent to that chip is a completely other computer sitting in that die, ready to be turned on by a software command. These are realistic concerns right now. And if you have a global security concern, then we need to have the ability to fabricate chips nationally. There's a national need to have that kind of capability. And it's one of the things that wasn't thought about as we were moving towards globalization and we were offshoring so much of this kind of manufacturing. This needs to come back to us, and Intel is one of those examples of it never left. It's I mean, this latest chip is probably the first example of them outsourcing their chip designs to a different manufacturer. So I think Intel is probably, I don't think, I mean, Chester, you said at the beginning that it's about survival. I think when we say that, we're talking about like Wall Street survival. I think the government in the end will be propping up Intel because of the security concern. I think Intel is going to find themselves with tax breaks and maybe even grants to keep fabrication going in the United States to address this security issue. The last article I brought today, if nobody has any comments on that, is this announcement from MIT engineers that they have created a solar-based desalination system capable of producing up to 5,000 liters of water daily. And I thought this sounds so promising, especially so many of us have ties to an area that is hurting for water at any given moment. The idea that you could put this together in an area like San Carlos and produce water. What's promising in this article is they talk about how this is one of the few systems. Don't misunderstand me. This is not the first time that they've used solar power for desalination. But what they say in the article is all these previous designs required a battery backup system. You needed to have supplemental power. You needed to charge a core that would be responsible for this particular design does not require any battery to be involved in it. It also is an interesting design in which it processes the ability to process salt water into fresh water. Its capacity is able to go up and down at a whim. They talk about processing. Well, they use this deionization system to pull the salt out. So it's like an electrolysis system that's pulling the salt out of the water. And the amount of water that goes through the system is governed by how much electricity can be produced at the moment. So there's this yin and yang that's happening in this particular design, where if it becomes cloudy, obviously it can produce less fresh water, and it actually is able to scale down the water that's going through it. So you don't get less processed water. Well, how do you say that? I guess the way I envision is previous examples, you would have this flow of water going through it. If you had built this design, you would have more or less desalination of the same capacity of water. But apparently with this design, the pumping of the water through it will limit its capacity so that you would have a persistent desalination, that ratio of water, clean water, would be maintained even though the capacity of water would be going up and down at any moment based on how much electricity is available to the system. In a nutshell, it's much more efficient at maintaining a constant quality of desalination. Another thing that they brought up in this article that I thought was very significant is they are really tooling this for brackish water. not necessarily water right out of the ocean, though it is ideal for that as well. They've been designing this so that it can save contaminated well water. Or when I was reading it, I was thinking about the water sources around San Carlos. I don't know if you're aware, but there are a number of different places where wells have been tried and they've found that salt water is already seeped into those aquifers, those areas. And so that water is tainted for use. Well, I could imagine you being able to drill for a well in those kinds of areas, putting a device like this on top of it and pulling fresh water out of it. And that's really where they're angling this technology, that hundreds of miles off the coastline in some contaminated aquifer, they're able to pull fresh water just using the sun. Well, guys, we have gone beyond our hour, and I have run out of topics myself. At this point, we typically go through a recommendations section, and I would ask you right now if anybody has any recommendations that they would like to share with us. Recommendations are typically movies, TV shows, books, websites, podcasts, anything that tickles your fancy that you think the rest of us should know. If anybody has anything out there, I've put a couple of things, but I'll let you guys go first. Cheryl, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
I don't have a movie or anything, but I have heard that on Saturday mornings you can take a tour of the new hospital in San Carlos. And I have a phone number that a friend of mine shared with me. They went, I think it was last Saturday, or the Saturday before, I can't remember. Anyways, they went, they toured the facility, they met with people, they had a snack in the cafeteria at the end of the tour, and she was mighty impressed and suggested if anybody wants to go that she has the phone number and I could share it with you guys.
Oh, please do. I'll stick it in
Great.
the document here.
Okay, I'll go grab it.
So Scott,
Yes.
I
Judy?
recently read that The Lincoln Lawyer is coming back with a new season. If anybody likes Lincoln Lawyer.
Well, that's interesting. Now that's isn't that Matthew McConaughey? Oh,
No,
oh,
this is a new
No.
one. It's
oh, this
series.
is a TV series.
It's a
watched
series
it
on,
I watched
yeah,
the
on
old one
Netflix.
last night. I watched the old one last night. It's enjoyable.
Now, this is the series that they've already done one series of this, and this is like the second season.
As far as I understand, yes. He drives around in a convertible.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a good
Um,
series. I enjoy it.
My
I like
husband says it's
I think
the
it
third
starts.
season.
Yeah.
The third season?
Well, I watched the movie.
Fourth.
4 seasons.
I thought it was fourth, 3 or 4?
It's the third this time,
Third.
or at least what we're watching.
I haven't started watching it because I haven't hooked up my Roku since I've been here. So that's on my list to do.
Hey, Chester, you said there was a movie you wanted to mention?
I watched the Lincoln Lawyer movie
Oh,
last
okay.
night.
With Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great movie too. So that's what the TV series is based on, is that movie. Or I guess I should say the
You see,
book, right? It's a
actually-
book series, right? I believe it's all based on it.
You know, Terry?
Adios.
Okay, have we got any other recommendations before we say goodbye? I put 2 on the list. Shrinking, if you haven't heard of it, this is the new season's starting. It's absolutely hilarious. Jason Segel and Harrison Ford, they play psychiatrists in an office. They're partners, and it's really funny show. If you're a Harrison Ford fan, it's great to see him in a TV show. They're like 30-minute episodes. It's like his sitcom. And Jason Segel is always hilarious. And then the other one that I was going to mention is The Secret of the River. I wasn't paying any attention to this until Yuya pointed it out to me. But this is a story from Oaxaca that has been sold to Netflix. And so you can very easily watch it in Spanish or in English. It's got a really good English dub. We have been watching it in Spanish dub. And it's just a very interesting cultural story about a couple of kids growing up in Oaxaca and their problems there in their village, and it moves into the future. I think we've only gotten to the third episode, but the story arc is to bring them into the future and how their past has affected their current or their future. So just culturally, with our touch, we all have some touchstone with Mexico. This is a very interesting Mexican story. So it's easy to recommend. It's also a very southern Mexican
Sounds cool.
story. Say again, Cyril?
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. I got nothing else. If you guys have nothing else, I'm going to say tech on until next Tuesday.
I put the phone number and the information in the document.
Oh, great. I'm looking for it now.
I think I did.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
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 And the only other thing in the document was information on how to turn off your Gemini sharing, and I'm leaving that for a while because I think we should all know how to turn off. If you're using Gemini AI to get information, you need to know that they're hanging on to it. This is the way you can stop it from being hung on to. The reason that you might want to...
Can you give me more hints on how to get rid of everything Google? Sorry.
That's impossible.
Bill shared a photo with me because he still uses Google Photo where I don't. I use Amazon Photo and I use my iCloud for photo with video storage. And he just sent me a link to one picture, and next thing you know, I'm getting continual emails. Your storage is too full. We're going to have to stop, buy more or we're not sending your emails. So,
Yes. Well, that's the world we're living in now. I've actually considered subscribing to Microsoft stuff recently because every one of my Windows computers is full. And there's no room to stick it in the free stuff. And so I keep coming back to this, gee, it's only $100 for a year. Terabyte, 6 terabytes, 6 users. They've made it.
but we've got we pay for the one with iCloud, so we've got terabyte there. And with our Amazon Prime, we've got photos unlimited, but videos are limited. And I just think that I'm already paying for 2. I do not need to pay for more for Google. And they hold you over the barrel, and I hate that. We're not going to allow any more of your emails going through.
And they've also just designed everything so that it's just so easy to pay, and it's so much more difficult not to pay.
And it's not so easy to get the money to pay. So, stop it.
It's just the most infuriating part of my world is to watch all these wonderful ideas, interesting things, research and technologies to come out of it. And in the end, it's all about, can you tag a micropayment to it? Can you put an advertisement on it? I mean, there's so many things. They don't want you to pay for it. They want to be able to advertise to you because that's where all the money is. The money's in advertising, not in you buying a product. I was listening to them talk about smart rings the other day, and Samsung has its own smart ring out, and the reviewer that's doing the review said, I can't even put this in the list to be considered, because for you to take full advantage of what they're trying to sell you, you need to get into a watch, into a phone, into a ring. You basically got to get $3,000 into the ring to take advantage of the ring. You have to buy into that ecosystem, or you don't get the full advantage. So you can't evaluate whether this product is really going to do anything for you before you've already made a $3,000 investment. And the person that she was talking to said, well, the flip side of that is that you could be inundated with advertising and that is very much what this is. This is Samsung saying you don't have to subscribe to any of our services. You don't need a subscription fee, but you are going to pay a premium for all this.
Yeah, we've been watching some Netflix series on Netflix, and most of the time we're on Stremio. But anyways, we're on Netflix right now, and there's ads, and it just blows me away, you know. Or paying for the basic Disney and the basic Netflix and Amazon Prime, and yeah, we're not paying for Stremio. So,
well, it's definitely driving people back to piracy when you can do something like Stremio and you find everything you're looking for, and there is no advertising. Yeah. And it's also
everything. I had a problem. The Stremio, we were watching a series. I can't even remember what it was right now, and we were doing fine. And then all of a sudden, no more episodes. So then I went on the Fire Stick and I opened our Stremio on there. And they were all there. So it was very strange. It was, yeah, there was something going on. Anyways, we finally got our Fire Stick, our Fire TV, and Bill's account on his iPad, what do you call that thing? Laptop, all logged into a Stremio account, and we know what the login is and everything. So we've got it all there. So it keeps us going on the series and stuff that we're watching.
Yeah, and I would say that if you're having an experience that's different on one versus the other, I would double check what version you have installed, because I've had experiences where the art isn't coming up or the sources aren't coming up, and inevitably I find, oh, I've fallen out of date. I need to update to the latest version.
And updating on the Fire Stick is not as simple.
No.
It's not a very simple thing. So there is that. But you're right. I do need to update a few things, and I should do it when I'm connected to a steady internet.
A good solid internet connection, yeah.
That's what I mean to say. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Nice seeing you, Sandy. Good. Hey, Scott, did you and Yulia go on a trip or something?
Yeah. Well, we went down to see a concert in Mexico City.
Ah.
Yeah, it was real quick.
Going on something.
Say that again, Mom.
I was gonna say, aren't you going someplace else, or just went someplace else too?
Well, we're gonna do the Spooky Balloon Festival. This Saturday is Yuya's birthday, and so her and our foreign exchange student are gonna drive up here. And I got an Airbnb for the week that I'm here doing work, and so I've just extended it through the weekend. And we're going to do that this weekend. And then this is no surprise. Yuya already knows this, but I got a real balloon ride for her birthday. So we're gonna go do an Arizona balloon ride. What's that, Mom?
Cool.
You're gonna get to go?
Yeah, it's the two of us are going to go do it.
Oh, fun.
And then we'll do the balloon festival in the evening. What's that, Mom?
Oh, yeah. How nice. Oh, I was going to say, you'll probably be surprised at how much farmland you're going to see.
Yeah. Well, it should be good. It's one of those break of dawn things. So we got to be out there at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. That's when I would fly my machine, because it gets too windy after 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we just bought another drone, and we've got it packed in our secure truck.
Oh,
now.
all right.
and it's going to be, sorry, anyways, it's going to be, we're going to try and see if we can get some footage and everything, because we're out at the Bahia Delphine this year.
Nice.
And
Okay.
I've always wanted to have a drone so that I could get video of the dolphins, because it's useless to try and take pictures of the damn things. So it'd be nice to be able to get some dolphin
I have a
shots.
couple of really
Yeah.
good dolphin pictures, and none of it was on purpose. I'm like, oh my god, that actually turned out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got a lot of bad ones. I've got, oh, it was
Lots of
there.
bad
Well,
ones.
it was there. Well, I know it was there. But yeah, and Bill was a little concerned. He wasn't sure how the wind would do. We only had one day to fly it at home before we took off. We actually ordered one on the Amazon days, and it came, and we could not get the damn thing to connect, I think it was. Bill was having all kinds of problems with it. So we had to send that one back, and we ordered another one, and it arrived just as we were packing up. So we had enough time to turn it on, check it out, make sure it connected, took photos, and away we went. So we'll unpack it when we get there and see how we do.
I gotta let you guys go. This is the end.
Okay,
Hasta,
Take care.
hasta la próximo martes. Tech on.
Bye, honey.
Bye bye.
Bye, Cheryl.
All right. We did it again. That was the San Carlos Computer Club. We meet every Tuesday at 10 for a virtual meeting or an in-person meeting, but we do always host the virtual meeting. A little awkward in Tequilas, but we still do it. We present it on the screen. We put out a microphone. We interact with people that are online as well as people that are sitting there in the restaurant. We'll be doing that next Tuesday on the 29th, and anyone is welcome to join us. So if you find yourself in San Carlos on the 29th at 10 in the morning, stop by Tequilas and join our group. Until then, if you haven't, oh, and I should probably say, I do remote work for people, so if you're looking for computer solutions, look for me, Scott at internationalcs.net. If you like what we've done with this, if you're interested in other things the Computer Club has done, just check out our website, scclub.org. Until next Tuesday, tech on.